Hello, here is the research project presentation of COMP9337. The title of our anchor paper is Improving User Security Choice on Home Wireless Networks. Our group name is Werewolf. Nowadays, home wireless networks cover most of place or people's daily life. It is pretty convenient for us to access the society and hard news, and we spend a lot of time on it. More and more financial related transactions are on the home wireless networks, so home wireless networking security is more important than ever before. The current state of security technology are mature than ever, but there are still hidden danger of security in home networking. The reason of that is users also have little knowledge about security configuration. The available technology in current state is encryption, MAC filter, and firewall. For the encryption, the encryption method has been evaluated from WEP to fairly good methods, WPA and WP2. The MAC filter can allow only listed clients to access the home wireless networks, and the firewall can allow restricted transaction of data with specific rules, and it has been pre-installed with Windows operating system since Windows XP. To support our ideas, the Home Network Security Survey from 2010 in Toronto, Canada, and the result indicates that more than 1/5 access points are unencrypted. More than half access points are using weak encryption methods. Also, in a survey in 2009, none of the candidates can configure the firewall successfully. Why does it happen? From Qiuyuan and Edwards in 2007, there are so many kinds of network devices in the market, and the network facilities is complex. Also, to managing home networks, it requires professional knowledge. The process of configuration is too difficult for normal users, and normal users are unlikely to configure their home networks correctly and safely. They just want to make it usable for themselves.
So here we need to consider two aspects. The first one is the technology one. So in this part, we need to consider the setting up, the administration, the troubleshooting, and security, composition, and there are some basic rules. For example, that humans should only need to deal with the settings that are necessary. The rest part should be self-configuring and self-administering. Furthermore, the settings should already be secure by default, regardless of the added modification. So settings should be application independent, supported for the composition, so that they could be widely used. The second aspect is the human one. So here we need to consider the capacitors. So it's kind of called a human factor. And there's also an article about these mental models, which is shown here, revealing hidden context, improving mental models of personal firewall users. So actually, in this part, we need to get a balancing point from these two aspects to get higher stability. There are two things we need to get, that is the robustness and the self-diagnose. So we need to get the automatic configuration guidance to eliminate the misconfiguration. And in this way, the users can have a certain level of control of balancing self-configuration and user freedom. So they got a limited freedom of in the process of configuration. So here we provide two possible solutions. The first one, we get some new concept of a router setup wizard, just like this article. We utilize practical security techniques as possible to simplify the configuration process. And we also get some configuration advisor, for example, like SSID suggestions, administration guidance, password generation, and suggestions. We also can encourage users to turn on MAC filtering. So in the evaluation, we hope that more participators made secure settings in the new wizard, like SSID, encrypted method, and password. For the second possible solution, we get a visualization one. So in this way we get a visualized user interface, so that we could demonstrate network architecture and review unauthorized devices to arouse users' security awareness, so that they could be aware of the security themselves and to improve it themselves. Also, we need to identify the internal or external connection. For the evaluation of this solution, we need to test the participators that they can identify the corresponding real object from the visualization interface. So as for the critique of the whole paper, it got some strengths. They did do the survey of the users in Toronto, and the interview, and they also got some conversation directly from the user. So by these materials, they analyzed the statistics, and they are familiar with the situation that most users do not have enough knowledge of the terms, and they are not able to deal with the configuration themselves, which is not good for us. But after their analysis and the wizards that they designed, finally they help the users to set up the home wireless network successfully. And as for the weakness of this paper, we thought that the size of the sample is not big enough. So by this one, I think we could improve this by doing more survey if the budget is enough. And the second one is that the structure is kind of isolated from each other. You know, the different parts are not that connected. So, for example, like the income of the family and overall overview of the city Toronto is not that relevant to the interviews and surveys that we have done later for just a few, like 20 users. So by this part, maybe we should get some connections from part to part, or just delay some irrelevant part. As for the practical significance, we think that they do enough interview to get the clear understanding of the users. And by the guidance, they did provide quite detailed setup breakdowns, which are very clear to users. And for the guidance, they combine both theoretical aspect as well as the practical one. So finally, after all these gains, they get positive users feedbacks. However, we got reason to doubt that maybe the real result may not be that convincing, because in the whole process of this gains, they have paid too much attention to the users and provide too much gains. However, in real life, maybe the users could not behave this good if they are just themselves without any gains. So as for the conclusion, we think that improving home network security is an interdisciplinary topic, which includes two aspects: the network security and the human factor. So we think the key of this one is balancing complexity, which is the user aspect, that if the configuration is too complex, they cannot deal with that themselves successfully. And the security level, that we still need to get a secure configuration of the home network setting. So although the solutions got some drawbacks in this article, it is still a relatively good improvement in the home network security settings. So here we provide all the reference that we have read for this presentation. Okay, thanks everybody. Do you have any questions?